Okay, so let's get right into it. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. In July 2025, it's finally done. We're talking about a $5 billion concrete behemoth, the biggest power plant in Africa, and the crazy part? It was self-financed and self-built. It's a genuine engineering marvel, a huge, monumental win for the nation. But instead of a massive national party, what do we have? A disgusting, infuriating squabble over which politician gets to stick their name on it.
And that quote, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? It captures the pure moral outrage of this whole situation. Because while the powerful are busy preening for the cameras, the real story, the one written in sweat, sacrifice, and blood, is being totally and completely erased. And that is exactly what we're going to unpack here.
Yeah, you heard that right. The source material we're looking at calls this whole debate a credit clown show. It doesn't pull any punches, framing it as a, quote, festering pile of narcissistic garbage. The point is that instead of honoring this incredible national triumph, the whole thing is devolved into a petty ego trip for politicians. And this isn't just some disagreement, you know? It's a profound slap in the face to the people who actually built this thing.
So let's look at this so-called parade of politicians. You've got Emperor Haile Selassie, who, commissioned some surveys back in the 60s. Then Meles Zenawi, who actually had the guts to kick it all off in 2011. Haile Mariam Desalegn kept things moving. And finally, Abiy Ahmed pushed it across the finish line. Look, they all played a part, sure. But obsessing over who gets the biggest gold star, it's completely missing the point. It's like arguing over which pharaoh had the best idea for the pyramids while completely ignoring the thousands of people who dragged the stones.
And that leads us to the most important question of all. While this political circus is going on, while they're all fighting for the spotlight, who are we forgetting? Who is being deliberately pushed out of the picture? Whose story is getting buried under all this self-congratulatory noise?
And that brings us right here, to the real builders, the dam's forgotten souls. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of people whose names you will never, ever hear, but whose blood and sweat are literally mixed into the concrete, holding back that river.
Let me just give you one name, Simignu Bekele. This was the project manager from day one. He poured his entire life into this dam. And then, in 2018, he was found dead in his car, a martyr to this national cause. So where's his statue? Is anyone arguing about naming the reservoir after him? No, of course not. His story has just become a tragic footnote in a grand political narrative that's been hijacked.
And please, understand, he wasn't alone. You had thousands of laborers working in blistering, unimaginable heat, choking on dust day in and day out. They were risking falls from heights that would make your stomach turn, inhaling silica dust, facing down community tensions and violence. We're talking lives lost, families completely shattered. This is the real price of progress, a price paid by the nameless, not the famous.
But the sacrifice, it wasn't just physical. Oh no, there was the financial sacrifice. And honestly, this might be the single most incredible, most gut-wrenching part of this whole story. Because you have to remember, this dam wasn't funded by the World Bank or some foreign aid package. It was funded every single cent by the Ethiopian people themselves.
Just look at that number. Over 23.6 times billion birr. That money didn't come from some abstract government account. It came directly out of the pockets of ordinary Ethiopian citizens through bonds and donations. Just let that sink in for a minute.
What did that look like? It looked like civil servants giving up 1% or even more of their salaries every month. And that's real money when your paycheck barely covers the rent. It looked like farmers donating their livestock, teachers pooling their life savings. There are stories of widows skipping meals just so they could hand over their last few birr, all out of pure patriotism.
And this sacrifice, it wasn't just inside Ethiopia. The Ethiopian diaspora all around the globe felt that same fire. They chipped in another $450 million. This was a global, collective effort of a people united.
And this chart just lays it all bare. If you still have any doubt about who really funded this thing, just look. That massive slice of the pie, that's the Ethiopian public and the diaspora. The next biggest is the government budget. Those Chinese loans you hear about, that was just for the turbines and transmission lines, not the dam itself. International funders, zero. Zilch. In fact, Egypt actively lobbied to block all foreign funding. So Ethiopians just did it completely alone. This is the people's dam, period.
So after all that sacrifice we've just seen, that brings us to a moral imperative. What is the right way to honor this incredible achievement? It's time to stop the talking and start building the right kind of monument.
And the contrast with how other nations handle this stuff, it couldn't be more stark. When China built its gigantic Three Gorges Dam, you know what they did? They built a massive monument honoring the 1,000+ workers who died during construction. The focus was on the people's sacrifice. And in Ethiopia, the public debate is about which politician deserves the most credit. The focus is on self-aggrandizement. It is a pathetic failure of gratitude.
The source material even suggests, sarcastically, just renaming the reservoir Lake Ego and building statues of all the leaders arm wrestling. And while it's a bitter joke, it perfectly captures the absolute absurdity of this great man myth they're trying to build, as if the dam just sprang fully formed from a politician's head.
So what's the real answer? Here's the blueprint that's being proposed. First, build a monument to the workers. Simple. Then, inscribe the names of every single person who died building it. Third, provide pensions and healthcare for their families. And finally, and this is crucial, shift the entire narrative. Call it the Sea of Ethiopians, not after some politician in a suit. Tell the people's story.
Because ultimately, this is what it all comes down to. The GERD is not a political trophy to be fought over. It is a testament to the collective guts, the resilience, and the sacrifice of 120 million people. Yeah, leadership played its part. But ownership belongs to the people who paid for it, with their money, their sweat, and sometimes with their lives.
And so we end with this question. The dam is complete, the turbines are turning, the water is flowing. But if the true builders are forgotten, if this clown show is allowed to just keep going, then what is really being celebrated? The nation may have damned the Nile, but in the process, is it also damning its own conscience?